Oh, we're live. It didn't take that long for YouTube to actually process the stream because usually it takes at least 2 minutes, but now I just clicked go live and it went live. So we're going to be talking about Dragon Age again. It's something that everyone is talking about, at least on Twitter. Everyone is interested, like, will it fail? Won't it fail? And to be honest, it kind of makes me sad. I'm not going to lie. The reason that it makes me sad that this never happened. Like you wouldn't get this like 6 years ago for a game to release and people were hoping that it would fail. Do you guys remember that? Like, did that ever happen? Like, surely, like, there were people that didn't like certain games or didn't like certain companies. But they actually, like, look at the sales chart and be like, come on, fail, fail, fail. And this is not just the right doing it. I saw the left doing the same with Wukong. Like, Wukong comes out and it's an amazing game. Like the thing is that the journalists scored their own goal because they were like, oh, but this game lacks rich diversity. It's not going to be great because it doesn't have diversity. And then, despite not having diversity, it's topping all the charts and it's got like million people playing. And, the left was looking at that and were like, come on, just go down, go down. And it happens that the Chinese people go to bed and all of a sudden, the graphs goes down a little. It's like, oh, look, see, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Um, People are doing the same now. And one of the other things that they did, see, it didn't happen that long ago, so I'm pretty sure you guys remember with Wukong. But the journalists were like, well, these are Chinese people playing. Like, who cares? Why do we count Chinese people, right? Like, we shouldn't count them. I don't know why they would say that. It was so fucking bizarre. A little bit racist, I would say. But okay, now with Dragon Age Vanguard, how would it be that instead of Chinese people, like, just take the same article? This is what I want to do, like, just take the same article from Wukong and replace Wukong with Dragon Age, and instead of Chinese, say LGBT people. And then you can have, like, the journalists say stuff like, oh, look, the LGBT people went to bed, so, like, the graph is going down. LGBT people woke up, they're playing the game now. Yeah, it's like, I know the entire plot. It answers all the lore questions have been waiting for, but it's completely ruined by the bad characters and horrible dialogue, says Kurgan. See, I think I know what's happening with Dragon Age. I had a couple of people that told me things, and I'll take it with a grain of salt. Because I can't really vet them as well. Like, usually when I have information that I can vet, I tell you guys, and when I don't, I don't. But, like, the things that they told me seem kind of legit. So basically, this is EA trying to see if they can restart a franchise. Like, they don't have very high expectations. As long as it breaks even, they're happy. And at the end of the day, this is going to be peanuts. But what they did try was to capture the old audience with the name and try to appeal to what they consider to be the young generation. In other words, this is not a grimdark fantasy, it's a rainbow fantasy, and the whole marketing that they're using is tapping into the culture war in order to spread it via word of mouth. But they didn't expect that the LGBT activists are going to go full swing. Like, they thought it's going to be like Dragon Age Inquisition, where you have, like, some gay elements here and there, but, like, you don't have the scene where they're talking about non-binary pronouns with the mother at the table and the chess cards, right? Like, that was, like, the thing that they didn't expect. It went a little bit overboard, right? Like, they wanted a little bit of LGBT, but instead they got, like, the full shebang. And despite all that, it seems that it may actually sell if you compare it to Jedi. What do they call it? Jedi Survivor or Jedi Outcast? I forgot the name of it. But I know the game. The difference though is that one is actually cheaper to make because they used a lot of reused assets, while this one is, despite the fact that it's a sequel to Dragon Age Inquisition, it doesn't use any of the old assets, right? So, I don't think it's going to be a success, but I don't think it's going to be a failure. I think it's going to be a meh. Definitely not a memorable game or something that you would recommend to other people. Hopefully it will shit can the entire IP because I don't want another one. I remember people hoping that Star Wars The Old Republic will fail. They called it Tortanic back in 2011. I never heard that, to be honest. I mean, if you're correct, sure, but yeah, I never heard about Tortanic. That's interesting. All the Dragon Age. Okay, I will tell you the difference. All right, like here's the difference between gay stuff in previous Dragon Ages and gay stuff in the new Dragon Age. All right, like this is the difference between having interesting gay characters and having woke characters. So let me see if I can find the actual scene where they're sitting at the table. So Dragon Age Vanguard table non-binary talk. There's here we go. No, hold on. This is my stream. Shit. I think I have one, but it's got a laugh track added to it. Like people are memeing it. I'll play it with the laugh track. Try to ignore the laugh track though, because this is not my intention to make fun of the scene. I actually want to analyze this particular scene so I can show you the difference between wokeness and just having like interesting characters and drama. So, this is the original scene, right? You got the lady. Apparently, this is hours in the game. Like they usually keep like the woke stuff like deep in the game, so you can't refund. They probably know this, but anyway, look at this.
Here, vegetables.
Thank you.
So I'm non-binary.
What does that mean?
It means I don't feel like a man or a woman.
The original scene doesn't have the laugh track. This is content creator Ciel that added. This is actually a scene that you're supposed to take seriously.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary. I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
This is because I have criticized your dress or your manner.
She basically thinks that she failed as a mother.
It isn't.
Under the key, the term for one who...
See, this is why I find this scene to be entirely despicable. Because the mother isn't evil. Like, she's actually trying to work with the situation. She's basically saying, okay, so you're transgender then. And the answer from the spoiled girl is that, no, I'm not transgender. Stop picking at, like, stop trying to understand it. Just use the goddamn pronouns I gave you. Just use the words, mother. Just use the words or leave me alone. You know? So basically the moral of the story is that no matter how open-minded you are, no matter how much you're trying to accommodate, it's never enough. Just don't even bother trying at this point, you know? Because, like, you're never going to raise up to the expectation of the child. Right? It's not that the child needs to raise up to the expectation of the parent. No, like, that's backwards, that's bigoted, that's not how the world works. Is that the parent has to raise to the expectation of the child, right? So, like, the chicken has to raise to the expectation of the egg. That is, like, the new normal. And, I want you to notice this scene, right? So, eventually, like, the mother leaves. Right. Now this, I think everyone agrees that it's woke. Let's see how I would have done it, right? Now, if I was to make the scene, I would have had the father sitting at the table, right? So it's exactly the identical scene. Just nothing changes except that you add the father. And the father has like this stern expression throughout the whole time. He doesn't say anything. And the dialogue just goes the same way. And after the mother leaves, the father will say something like, I do not know what you are, but it is obvious that my daughter is dead. I want you to leave now. I am going to mourn. And then you as the player would have a choice. You can either choose to side with the father, you can choose to side with your companion, or you can choose to not intervene. And that would actually be role-playing. That would actually not be woke, because you are allowed to engage in the role-playing. The intent is to create drama. The intent is to create an interesting scenario. The intent is to actually immerse the player into this fictional world, right? The intent that is woke is that the player has to be lectured. You are sitting there at an HR meeting. You are being told a story, and you are also being told what is the correct way of thinking, and you're being lectured about pronouns. That is why it's woke. So when you're telling me like Dragon Age always had LGBT themes in it, yes, but it wasn't woke. You can have LGBT themes in it, and it can make sense. Like, this is why no one complains when LGBT themes happen in anime, because they're not there to lecture. Wokeness means the intent of lecturing the audience. It means like you're trapping the audience there. They paid $70 to play a game. Now they are your prisoners, and you can just lecture to them. You're not there to entertain them. You're not there to create a story. You're not there to immerse them in a fantasy world. This guy would have called her Kunari Talvashot. Yeah, true. Now let me show you what else wokeness does, right? Like why else this is a woke game and why people absolutely hate it. Let's look at this particular scene, and this is what I like to call the erasure of lore in the favor of the message.
In fancy mage clothes.
Because I like them?
You're barely even wearing a shirt.
You fight Anton with a bare midriff.
Everything all right?
We're fine. Just trading fashion tips. So what I wear is a problem for you?
It's not. It's just... why dress like that? Are you trying to make your mother happy?
Tosh, what's going on? Something is clearly bothering you.
My bet's on mothers and dresses.
It's just something my mother said the other day. That I act more like a man than a woman.
And you feel like you should wear dresses to make her happy?
No. Can you imagine me in a dress? I'd look stupider than I'd look stupid.
This isn't about the dress, is it?
No, it's... I don't know. She always says stuff like that. About how I dress, how I act.
And?
It feels... right. When she says I act more like a man. It feels... right. Why does it feel right?
Tosh, do you like being a woman?
Nobody likes being a woman.
Okay, I'll stop it here before we bring on the Andrew Tate level of misogyny. How did they do it? You know, Andrew Tate, you need to contact BioWare and find out, like, how to be a proper misogynist and escape the criticism. Because, like, for some reason, when woke people pull shit like this up, it's fine, right? But if Andrew Tate does it, it's misogynismus. So no, you need to contact BioWare, get their consultants, like, find out what magic they're using, what is their jutsu. Why does this scene not make sense, chat? First of all, it feels as this is the actual family drama of the writer. Like, it feels that these are his or her insecurities that are being poured here, and people have to spend $70 in order to enjoy them. Secondly, it doesn't make any sense within the lore. Like, that's the main problem. And thirdly, it completely destroys these fictional characters. The whole thing about the Kunari, and this is from what I remember, right? So, like, if I make a mistake, please let me know. It's been, like, more than a decade since I played the game. But I understand that the Kunari were a different race of people. They even had, like, stone instead of skin. Like, they were a mixture between flesh and stone. Whatever. Like, the idea was that a Kunari was, like, 10 times stronger than a human. And they were very intense individuals, kind of like the Vulcans, right? So, like, if they allowed their emotions to go unchecked, it would be incredibly destructive. So they were adhering to this ideology called the Kun. And the kun was this ideology where every single person had to destroy their individuality and just dedicate their life for the greater whole. Like the purpose of everybody within that society was to dedicate your life for the community. There was no more individual. Like, you didn't have ambitions, you didn't have goals, you didn't have aspirations. It's like, this is your role in life. Like, you're born as a peasant, you're a farmer, that's it. Like, you have to farm. It doesn't matter if you like it. Right? It doesn't matter, oh, I want to be a blacksmith. No, fuck off, you're a farmer. Oh, I want to travel. No, fuck off, you're staying here and you're farming. Right? Like that was the philosophy. That's the kun. And without the kun, the Kunari, they develop, they go into chaos. Now, it's not okay to apply our morality on them and say, well, this is not the right way of living. It's because they're not human. Like, you generally don't know. Like, if you actually impose Western democracy on the Kunari, like, maybe it destroys their society. Like, that was, like, the ambiguous nature because they're a different race, right? So they would never have, like, this issue. It's like, what is a woman? What does it mean to be a woman? Because the kun would exactly describe, word for word, what it means to be a woman. Like, within that universe. And secondly, any person would probably be more upset about the kun itself than the concept of gender. Because, like, it wouldn't just tell you that you have to act this way. It would tell you your job, your role. If I remember correctly, like, they didn't even know who their parents are, because again, like, children were considered resources for society. So it's like the moment you have children, they're taken away from you and they're educated in a communal thing, and then they're allocated various jobs, right? Like, it's a very theocratic society with communist elements to it. So all of that is thrown out the window in order to create this HR level drama that doesn't fit within the lore. And not to mention, if she actually behaved like this, she wouldn't have a problem with her parents. She would have a problem with her people, with her culture, with the kun itself. And they had a word for that, which was basically outcast. And Kunari who were outcasted were hunted by their own people. And other societies would look at them and they would treat them with suspicion, and they would treat them with aggression, right? So, like, it was a very difficult life for them. In fact, like, that's one of the things that Iron Bull does in Inquisition. Like, he's got this quest where he has to choose if he wants to follow the kun or if he wants to save his mercenaries, and that's an important decision for him. And all of that is thrown away. Like, none of that matters anymore. All the drama, all of the, interesting character development, all of the world building, all of that is pissed away so that they can get this little interesting scene in there where they talk about, the relationship between a non-binary person and their parents. Which you could have done if you chose anything else besides a Kunari. Like, you could actually do that, like, just have a mage or someone, and you can still do it in a proper way. Educated in a communal place like a public school? Yeah, but, like, more extreme, because you never get to see your parents again. I know that even people who love the kun would say this won't garbage. Yeah, and of course, you don't have the option to roleplay. Like, you can't just tell her, shut the fuck up, no one cares. I want to show you something else, right? Like how, and this is actually the topic of one of my videos, just so you can understand why Dragon Age Origins was such an amazing game, right? And what was taken away from us, and what we will never have back. If you choose to play as a mage in Dragon Age, you got, like, a completely different introduction than all the other classes. So, in Dragon Age Origins, if you play as a dwarf, if you play as an elf, or if you play as a human, you get, like, different introductions to the game. And if you play as a mage, again, it doesn't matter what race you are, mages are treated differently. And as a mage, you find out that there are certain people that are born with magical powers, and they're taken away from their parents forcefully, and they're placed inside this tower where their freedom is taken away. It's like a jail. And you can walk around the tower, you can study, but you gotta subject yourself to a rigorous regiment of training where it's kind of like a military camp, and you're supposed to eat at certain hours, exercise at certain hours, practice spells at certain hours, right? And at all time you are having these bodyguards, these Templars, that have the right to execute the mages if they so desire. So you realize, like, okay, well, life as a mage is pretty fucked, right? Like, it's pretty oppressive to be locked in a tower and never to go out. And the explanation for it is that, well, people are distrustful of mages because they have the power to raise entire villages. They have the power to be taken over by demons and destroy places around them. So this is why they justify oppressing the mages. But as you play the game, you know, like, for you, it's very personal. As the player, like, the situation is personal. So, like, you may be a social justice activist and your mind is like, okay, well, I'm going to do something and eventually I'm going to free the mages. Because that's, like, what role-playing is, right? And as you go into the world, you realize that there are other countries out there that also need an answer to the mage question. And there is an empire, I forgot the name of it, but apparently that empire is actually run by mages. So, like, that empire is might makes right, and they don't oppress the mages, but what happens is that the mages oppress everyone else, right? So, like, that is their solution to the dilemma, which is to allow the mages to be free, and they oppress 90% of the population. And they do blood sacrifices, and they do all nasty shit. So that's the empire. So you understand, it's like, okay, well, maybe my people, my country, you know, they're not that fucked up. Like, they're not that evil. So maybe they have a reason for oppression. And then you met the Kunari, right? And what do they do with their mages? And the answer is that they do this because it's a grimdark fantasy. So what the Kunari do with their mages is that they sew their lips shut so that they can't chant. And they also bind their hands so they can't cast spells, right? So, like, this is what a Kunari mage looks like. Like, they're in constant shackle and pain. And you learn that, according to the Kun, they're treated as tools. They're treated as instruments, like, just to be deployed in the military and to be sent where they're needed, and then they cast the spell, and then they're being shackled again. And you realize, okay, well, compared to other countries, like, holy shit, like, my nation is quite forward-thinking. Like, we're actually treating mages with respect here. And now you have this gray area, you know, it's like this philosophy, and it's like, well, what is the right thing? How do you handle the situation? Because you can't really use our morality into this timeline. Because if you use your morality, then in our world, we actually don't have people that can summon fireballs from the sky and just level entire cities. Because if we did that, then probably we wouldn't be so liberal about it. You know, like, probably that we would have certain things in place that would try to create a sense of normalcy. And whether we would actually end up like that empire that allows the mages to dominate everyone, or we would be locking them up, or we would do something. Probably we wouldn't do this because this is a little bit extreme. But this is what politics in video games should be like. Like, it's a fictional world. It prevents an interesting dilemma. And the question is like, well, what do you do about it, right? You as the player. And when you realize that this is actually what's happening in the world of Dragon Age, and this is like an actual act of oppression, this is actually horrible. And then you go back to, like, the chica that has mommy issues, because mommy is okay with her being trans, but she just wants more info. Like, she would like to know more about non-binary things, and the daughter isn't willing to share. And she's like, Mom, just use my fucking pronouns, you know? All of a sudden, immersion broken. Writers, like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not... You're making me wonder if you're even the original writers that created the lore for the first game. Complete bait and switch. Right? Like, this is what we're dealing with. American Outlier, thank you for the $5. Hi V, I hope all is good. This Dragon Age sounds like it is as bad as Concord Disaster. It's different though, right? Because Concord was a new IP. This one actually has more than 10 years of rich history behind it. So, like, there's a lot of people that did buy it because they had no idea what they're getting themselves into. What is the current stream refund rate? 70% plus? We don't know. I heard, like, someone posted, but I don't like going into rumors. Someone posted that there are over like $300,000 worth of refunds. I don't know. I don't know. Like I guess we're going to find out, but what I do know is that the mainstream media is posting like the most bizarre articles. I don't even know what the fuck they're doing. Like listen to this, right? This is for Alan Wake. Just so you can understand where the media is coming from, just some context on why you shouldn't trust them. This is an actual article written by IGN. And the article states that Alan Wake 2 continues to be a success for Remedy, with the company reporting it has recouped most of the game's development and marketing costs as the end of September. How the fuck is a game that's still not profitable considered to be a success? I mean, it's not IGN saying it, right? Like, they're quoting the company. But it begs the question, what the fuck is the company thinking? Like how can you say a game that hasn't recouped most of its losses, most of its production cost, is a success? In what fucking universe? But I want to find the one about Dragon Age, because the one about Dragon Age is actually also hilarious. Like, IGN posted it, and they were basically saying in the article something in the lines of, well, this game is a success, it's really good, really great. And then at the end of the article, they're saying, yeah, BioWare hasn't announced any numbers yet. So it's like, well, how the fuck do you know it's a success then? Like, even I don't know what to say. If it's a success or not, it's too early to tell. And if you don't have access to the numbers, how can you possibly make that statement? It's like, well, yeah, but like BioWare said it. So if BioWare says that you're retards, are you going to believe them just because they're BioWare? Is that how it works now? American culture is centered around the coon. Oh my god. No, like, someone basically explained exactly how the Kunari have changed, right? Like they're obviously inspired by Islamic theocracies. Like, I think this is what the writers wanted, and it's like an unapologetic version of medieval Islam where it's like death to the infidel, Allah Akbar. And they took that and they turned it into Gays for Palestine. That's what it did. You know, like, there is no way that you can play Dragon Age 1 and not actually speak with this gentleman right here by the name of Stan and listen to his philosophy, listen to his teachings, listen to his wisdom and way of life, and then play the new game and talk to that chica, that Kunari chick, whatever her name is, Trash, whatever, and that conclude the major difference. Like, one of them is like authentic Islam coming right from the Holy Lands, you know? Like, it's almost like you managed they managed to abduct the guy that was next to the Kaaba, and now he's like there, complete in authenticity, like 100% authentic. And in Dragon Age 4, it's like Gays for Palestine. It's like you're going to a liberal campus, you're taking a person that doesn't even know what the 7 pillars for Islam are, and that's it. I think. Can you imagine what they're going to do to Mass Effect? They're already making the Asari non-binary. Oh god. Can you imagine if the Asari come out with like little tits and they have like strong man jaws and and you're meant to believe that these are like the hottest women that the galaxy have to offer, and regardless if you're an Asari or a different species, you find them to be absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. And they all look like men with wigs, and they go by they, them pronouns. I know Islam has 5 pillars. I was just like trying to make a joke. The seduction genocide. Yeah, they create genocide with their pussy. Again, I kept explaining this, that the writers do not understand that the Asari would just wipe out the other races. So again, let me look at Liara Tisani. Let me see if I can find a picture of her that's more hot. The Space Smurfs. Yeah, I think I found one. Right. So this is what the Asari is supposed to look like, right? Like back in the day when Westerners actually made female characters that don't look like 45-year-old women. You know? And they don't have like strong jawlines that look as if you had them in high school, you'd have been the prince of the prom. But anyway, like, and by the way, her tits are actually not visible. I'm talking about like the greatness of them, right? Like the size of them, because like she comes out of the armor and you get to see that. Yeah, she's quite impressive. Again, like you're not allowed to have these size breasts nowadays in AAA games. But it makes the developers feel uncomfortable because they can't have tits like that. You know, no matter how much. How can I put this so I don't get bad for YouTube? No matter how they juice themselves up, they will never be able to have breasts like this, so they're getting very vindictive and like, oh, well, I don't want the characters to have them, because they view themselves as in a competition with the fictional characters for some fucking reason. But anyway, right, so, apparently, if you read the lore from Mass Effect, Liara doesn't actually look like this. Every single person sees an Asari differently, and you see them as the perfect women. So, if you're looking at one, you see a version of them that is like what your brain believes to be like drop dead gorgeous. I don't know how it works with pictures and shit. Like if you take a photograph of one, but like anyway. And take into account that they're also incredibly wise. I mean, these bitches live for thousands of years, right? So like they accumulate a lot of knowledge that it would take several lifetimes to develop. Like they're way smarter than you, right? So they're way and it's not like intelligence as in they're autistic, right? Like they're good with numbers. No. They're very charismatic. They're experts in seduction. They know a lot of trivia. They know stuff. Like think about it this way: you can meet one of these ladies, right? And she would talk to you about the Roman Empire. And should be like incredibly charismatic, make jokes and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, I lived during Julius Caesar. Yeah, like his reign was such and such. Like, right? Like, it would be so fascinating and interesting to talk to one, because like if you're like interested in history or anything, she actually knows history. Like she's lived it, right? So they're incredibly intelligent, incredibly charismatic. Apparently, sex with them is like the biggest pleasure you can ever experience, because it's not like normal sex, but like your nervous system unites with hers, it's explained. So like every single inch of your body experiences pleasure that's indescribable. And once they and they prefer races outside of their kind, right? So like Asari do not want to marry other Asari. Like they actually are looking for women. They're looking for humans. They're looking for anything else. And right, so like she's interested in you. She's probably wealthier than you. She's more charismatic than you. She's like the perfect wife, very feminine, very charismatic, like all of these things. And your brain perceives her to be like the most beautiful creature in existence. Like, I'm sorry, but like human women just cannot compete at that point. In fact, like the human women would probably prefer Asari as well. So once you join with one, you will always have an Asari daughter. There will never be a melding between a human and Asari where you get like a son or you get like a human. No. It's always an Asari daughter. Now I want you to think about this, right? Like over the course of several generations, like already like human women would be in a massive disadvantage. And over the course of time, like the first generation produces a number of Asari women, the second generation an even greater one, and the third, so to the point where like humanity will become extinct. Like there would be no humans, then there will only be like female Asaris, right? So like this is why it's considered a genocidal race. Like this is probably the most evil race in fiction ever made, because like no one wants to fight against them. They're not coming with lasers to conquer, right? Like they're not actually engaging in warfare or anything. And like you may have like a group of people like Cerberus that are like humanity first, and they're like, oh, we need to take over the Asari, but like they will be considered like terrorists. They will be outlawed because most people will be Sims for these bitches. So I really love the concept. I'm sad that they didn't go anywhere with it, but they could definitely be like one of the worst villains in fiction ever made. If she is supposed to be drop dead gorgeous, where is the hair? Apparently, like, they can't perfectly simulate what like a human woman would be, but like from what I understand, like a Turian sees her different than a Krogan. Like everyone sees them differently. But for the hair, I guess she can wear a wig, you know. The Banshee from Mass Effect 3 is what the Asari might look up. Pull out the picture. Hold on. Yeah, it's possible. Hold on, I need to pick one that's YouTube friendly. And like, this would actually be interesting if they look like this, right? Again, you wouldn't be able to tell how they really look like because your entire body would lie to you. They have like this psionic ability to trick your senses and shit. But hey, at the end of the day, if the sense is tricked, the sense is tricked, you know. Still, like if they were to make this a grimdark universe and this would be like an evil race, like that would be so interesting. Like you could have like a lot of good dramatic stories based around it. So the civilization goes extinct by the boner. Yes. Yeah, like literally, like women would not be able to compete. Like I imagine the opposite, right? Like imagine if you had like this species of very, very hot vampires or men or whatever, right? Like you got like alien men that are incredibly hot, and women find them insanely appealing. Like they're just like, and they're like richer than you. Like let's say they happen to have dominion over entire planets. Incredibly charismatic, intelligent, smart, right? And women absolutely love them. Like you would not be able to compete. Like you would never be able to get a girlfriend, ever, right? Like, so this is pretty much how it's like. Got that real Instagram filter, yes. Can they make themselves taller? I think like you would see them as tall as your mind would perceive them, right? So like you could probably see them taller than they are. That just sounds like a hentai plot. It's the plot of Mass Effect. I didn't make it. Man would just go to the Philippines. Oh, I see what you did there. Hold on. Let me see if I can find something else that's interesting. Well, we talked about this, and we talked about that, so, should we talk about Destiny? I think we're going to be talking about... Oh, the Twitch CEO. Yeah, the Twitch CEO. Apparently, people went on Pornhub and used the Twitch CEO's email, and they found out that he has an account, right? So, Twitch CEO Dan Clancy was caught actively using multiple porn websites and favoring one of his employees by the name of Mia Malkova. I have no idea who Mia Malkova is, but apparently this is, like, everyone is calling him a gooner. You know, like, to me, this is like, you know, a bunch of edgy teenagers managed to find dad's porn magazine stash back in the day. and they're all shocked about it. It's shocking. Old man watches porn. Oh my goodness, newsworthy, right? Then he doesn't even watch like some degeneracy. He doesn't watch furry. He doesn't watch Monster Girl. No. He just watches real women. Oh my goodness, really? Oh, the thing that I find interesting is the word gooner. Like the word gooner used to mean a person that's addicted. So like they're masturbating nonstop for hours on end, right? It's interfering with their real life. The same as a coomer, right? It's a person that's just like nonstop doing it, which is harmful, right? But now it's just used to describe men with a sex drive. That's it. Like if you're a man and you're commenting that a woman is hot, oh, you're a gooner. And I noticed that this word is never used to describe women. Like, it's perfectly fine for a woman to express her sexual fantasies about, like, a superstar, about Khal Drogo or whatever. Like, that's fine. And it's never used to describe LGBT folk. So, like, if you have, like, LGBT folk that say, oh, well, you know, we want more representation, we want more, you know, gay shit, we want more stuff like that, they're not good. No, like, gooner is a word specifically reserved to shame straight men that seem to have any type of testosterone capable of producing a sex drive. Like, if you're a man and you just happen to say that you like a woman in a video game that's hot, or you like some streamer or whatever, that you're a gooner. Like, okay. It's kind of like the word incel. It just lost all of its meaning. Christopher Keating, that's a conspiracy theory from some drunks in a Citadel bar. They can't agree because the drunk, it can't actually be true because there are cameras everywhere. Yeah, I don't know if like that is canon or not. I know what you're talking about. But to be honest, even if there are cameras everywhere, if the Asari are using like psychic influence in order to like change people's perception, sorry about that, then maybe it's space magic and it works through the cameras too. We gotta take the word back. No, like at this point, it just doesn't mean anything. It's like someone calling me a racist. You know, it's like, oh, okay, I've been labeled. Oh no. Or someone calling you an incel. It's like, again, oh no, the label. And they use incel to describe even a person that's married. Like, here's my observation. Here's why I really care about it, right? The current AAA standard in the gaming industry is to keep creating characters that are supposed to be female, but they look like men with wigs, right? So, like this is the... Hold on, I'll show you in a bit. This is the benchmark for AAA Western design, right? Like, this is it. Like, you see this in so many games where the female character, like, they're not transgender, but they look like a man. And if you complain about it, and you're like, well, why do female characters nowadays, you know, why do they have strong jawlines? Why do they look so buff and muscular? Why do they have, like, such a poor hip-to-waist ratio? Why do they have small tits? The argument is like, well, why do you care about tits? And then they go into three categories. Like, if you care about tits because you're young, like, let's say, you know, the person making the complaint is a teenager. Like, let's say they're 18, 20. They're an incel, right? So automatically labeled, you shouldn't care about how female characters look in your fantasy because otherwise you're an incel. If you are married or have a girlfriend, then what is wrong with you? Like, if you have a girlfriend or a wife, like, does she know? Does she know you care about character? Does she know? So you can't do that. And if you're old, apparently Grooms is old. It's like, why doesn't he have a job? Why does he care? So, like, you're never allowed to care. Like, at no point in your life are you allowed to care that your entertainment has this type of atrocious design. And the reality is, like, most people don't even want to have, like, female characters in a bikini like Stellar Blade. Like, it wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing if the game is mature. But, like, what people want is to stop showing characters that are just repulsive, vile, and ugly. Like you keep asking for our money. You keep asking us to keep giving you $79, and you keep giving us slop. And apparently we're not allowed to criticize the slop because either we're too young to criticize it, or we're already in a relationship, or we're too old. But at no point are you allowed to criticize these artists because they're beyond reproach. Like, we see what you're doing. You're being a subversive, cheeky little shit. And how about you fuck off? again, I give this example all the time. In the America academia, they came up with the idea that people really hate rotten apples, right? Like they don't like seeing rotten apples, they don't like smelling rotten apples, they don't like eating rotten apples. And they conclude that the reason for this is because society taught people not to like rotten apples. So like if we put rotten apples in every single restaurant, in every single house, in every single painting, in every single book and movie and TV show, and there's rotten apples everywhere, all of a sudden it will change people's perception and they're going to just utterly love rotten apples. But what ends up happening is that no, people just start hating the books, they start hating the TV shows, they just start hating the restaurants, they just start hating it. And the left just can't cope with this because the only way they can cope is if they admit that the academia is wrong. But for them, academia is Jesus. Like for a leftist, the institutions, especially the academia, are the only way that humanity can ever find the truth. Like you cannot experience reality without the academia telling it to you. So if you tell them that the academia was wrong in their thesis, and actually putting rotten apples everywhere, you're not going to get people to like rotten apples, it completely demolishes their worldview. Like that is just like the biggest damage you can do to a leftist psyche. So they must conclude that, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You actually love rotten apples in secret, but you're a grifter. You just say the things in order to get money. I was watching a woman using the new Dragon Age character creator, and she was furious she couldn't personalize. Normal women care they're not represented. They can't call them gooners or incel. They call them grifters. Thank you for the 5 gift subs, SRC Maker. Some wholesome news. Legal Mindset and his fans brought flowers to the war memorial that Somali disrespected. It's actually quite nice. Yeah, it turns out that there's a study. I'll release the video on my channel, which shows fucking surprise. I wonder how many millions of dollars were actually wasted on figuring out the study. But again, leftists do not believe their own eyes. Like they need the academia to hold their hands and tell them the truth. But guess what? Women, despite what they say, they like hypersexualized female characters. In other words, women would say whatever is popular, but at the end of the day, they still do whatever they want to do. And the way I explain this, when you're a teenager, it probably happened to you. If not, it happened to a friend of yours. And every woman probably knows this. Like every single woman in my chat, you can verify me. You have gone on a date with a guy who's trying to impress you, right? And they're going overboard. Like they're really trying to impress you to the point where if you say that you like chocolate, they're like, oh, chocolate, I absolutely love chocolate. You know, chocolate is my favorite flavor. And then the woman goes, actually, you know, maybe today I want to try vanilla. And the man immediately goes, yeah, what was I thinking? Vanilla is actually the best. Yes, I love vanilla, right? If the woman says that she likes football, the guy automatically likes football. And if the woman says, oh, actually, tennis is better, then the man goes, yeah, you know what, tennis. You've seen that happen, right? Like the type of person that always agree, like no matter what you say, like they will agree because again, they're young, they're trying to impress the lady, they don't know how. And the funny part is that I don't think women know this. When you're a teenager and the hormones are raging and you actually fall in love with the woman, like for men it's visual. So like if you see a woman that you really like and you think she's perfect, the stuff that she likes, you automatically like as well. Like, if she says that shit is cool, immediately you think it's cool. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Like, as you grow up, you grow out of it. But you have this thing with men that will say whatever it takes in order to please a woman. Women have that as well. You know, when you tell this to guys, some of them don't know. But women behave the same way in groups. Like, if you ever had the displeasure going to a girl's night out, you know, like maybe someone invited you, like you're one of their boyfriends or you're a relative or something like that. If you're in a situation where you're at a table and you're like probably the only guy, and let's say there's 9 other girls. If that happens, the dynamic doesn't change because there's a different dynamic when you're at a table and it's only girls, a different dynamic when you're at a table and it's only guys, and a different dynamic when it's a mixed table. The people who made Final Fantasy basically talked about this when leftists were screeching that there's a Final Fantasy where you play as 3 guys. And they were basically saying, well, it's a different dynamic when it's 3 guys, right? And they're absolutely right. It's not a bad or a worse dynamic. It's just different, right? Like, different things happen when you're out clubbing and there's only guys or there's only women or it's a mixed group. So if you happen to be like the only guy at the table and it's like 7 or 8 women, the dynamic is almost the same as if it's only women. And what you will notice is that usually there's like a queen bee over there. There's like the opinion influencer. And when she says something, she creates the consensus, and automatically you have consensus among the group. So basically she can say, I think that Johnny is a creep. And all the other women like, yeah, Johnny is creepy. Oh, you know what he did to me? Oh, you know, like, but have you seen him at the party? Do you know how he acted? And then if that same woman says, you know, well, actually, he's not that bad. And immediately, like, the group changes. And they're like, oh, yeah, like, absolutely, he's not that bad, blah, blah, blah. This is why women say that they don't like hypersexualized female character, because this is the group consensus. This is what you're supposed to say in civilized circles. Like, if you go in public and you're asked the question, you're supposed to pretend you don't, because you don't want to be viewed as a creep. You don't want to be viewed as the outlier. You gotta go with the consensus. But in reality, when the scientists looked at how they actually play the game and the characters they do pick the hypersexualized characters. How many billions of research to figure this out? I don't know. They should have just hired me. I would have done it for free. I don't even know if you can call it herd mentality, because the thing is different if there's guys there, but it's almost like you need to adhere to whatever is popular, and you need to make sure that you don't upset others, right? Like, you avoid controversy, pretty much. It depends what women you poll. Californian women are special? Probably. But, like, again, I explained that guys also say one thing and do another, right? Like, you have guys that try to impress women and they do the same, which is probably why a lot of soy boys exist. It's honestly so dumb. I don't think it's something that people think about. I think it's just naturally happening. Like, I think it's something that people normally do when in groups. I was going to super chat the Nikkei question, but the option wasn't there. What is the Nikkei question? Define women, my dude. I know how to define a man, but defining a woman is hard. I think, like, Matt Walsh gave the best definition without going to adult human female. He said something, a person that is in the nature of, or something like that, that has the nature of being able to give birth. So basically, if I were to go to the doctors and I would say that I'm unable to get pregnant, like, they wouldn't try to see what's wrong with me, right? Like, they wouldn't start running tests. They wouldn't be concerned. They just throw me the back out and say, like, dude, we got more important issues, right? The same thing, like, if you have a woman going to the hospital saying that she can't inseminate a man, like, the doctors wouldn't start running tests to see what's wrong with her. But if I'm a man and I go to the hospital and I say that I've been trying to have sex with my wife for the last 2 years and we couldn't conceive a baby, then they do run tests on you, right? And it's the same with a woman. If she goes to the hospital and she says, like, my period hasn't shown for, like, 1 year or so, I want to see what's happening, like, they will run tests because it's in the nature of, right? So you can be a woman and you can have, like, some abnormalities, genetical abnormalities, or you can have, like, some pathological issues, and the doctors will try to figure out what's happening. But if you're not in the nature of, then they won't even try, because, like, it's a waste of time. In California, they would run them and then tell you the option for transplants. That's interesting. Mine is Scarlet so far. I haven't pulled Snow White. I haven't managed to pull Cinderella. Like, Nikkei has a really cool event now with Cinderella. It's like their second anniversary. And they gave people, I think it's like $200, if not $300 worth of pulls. And they also give you like a free rare Nikkei. No, actually you get 2 rare Nikkeis. I got Snow White and I got what's her name? Rapunzel. Yeah, so I got Rapunzel and I got Snow White for free. And I'm looking at the monetization system, right? Like, this is a Gunnar-ass game. And their monetization for a gacha is just mind-blowing. So you're playing a AAA game, right? And a AAA game now, it's like pay $120 and you get 2 or 3 days early access if the servers even work. And after the 2-day, 3-day early access, buy some DLC, buy some costumes, buy more shit, right? This is how AAA monetization is now. Meanwhile, you're looking at a game like Nikkei gacha shit, and it's like, alright, well, the game is free to play. Like, you can finish it without ever linking your credit card. It just takes a long while. But if you have patience and you don't link your credit card, like, you can finish the story in half a year. I mean, it's an MMO. So in half a year, you're pretty much going to be exactly in the same place as the people that spend money on it. You can unlock almost everything. I mean, it's randomized, right? So you can still unlock shit. And on top of that, we're just going to give you free stuff. Like, we're going to give you, there's an event now, 1.5 years anniversary. Like, who the fuck does a 1.5 year anniversary? Doesn't fucking matter. They give you like $400 worth of pull. So you can pull Nikkeis, you can pull the gacha as if you just spent $400 in the game. Oh, this is a new event. We're celebrating some shit. Here's the new dress for your favorite Nikkei. It's free. It's kind of like a League of Legends skin. And it modifies her voice, it modifies everything. Like, here's this, $400, free, you don't have to pay anything. And what ends up happening is that I know so many people that feel bad about not giving them money. They genuinely feel bad. They're like, look, I've been playing this game for a year now, and it's really entertaining. I spent more time in it than I spent for like AAA games. I'm going to give them $60. And I did, chat. I gave them $60. Like, once I finished the story in the game, like I finished the last campaign, and I got most of the Nikkeis and shit, I was like, you know what? I'll spend some money on this game because I genuinely feel bad. I think the developers did a lot of work. And what they end up doing with the money from the gacha, they ended up making Stellar Blade. So I'm like, alright, well, I mean, good. You know, money well spent. I refuse to play gacha shit that locks content behind the waiting timer. Yeah, no, you need to get used to that. Like, that's literally what a gacha thing is. It's a waiting timer, right? Like, a lot of people think that a gacha game is the same like any other game, but it's not. A gacha game is played like a Tamagotchi. Like, if you guys used to have, like, those little pets, those Tamagotchis, that's how you're playing a gacha game. It's like playing World of Warcraft after leveling up to max level. And you have nothing else to do besides raiding. It's kind of like that. So, like, the way you play a gacha game is in the beginning, you get a lot of resources and you can clear a lot of content, and then you hit a wall. And once you hit the wall, it's very important not to link your credit card. And what you do is, like, every single day, you got, like, a couple of daily quests. Kind of like in World of Warcraft. You got daily quests. So every single day, you log in, you do the dailies, and you log out. And at the end of the week, you push the campaign a little bit, and it's really like watching an anime. It's kind of like watching My Hero Academia. It comes out once a week. You see the episode, and that's that. And, you know, I get it if it's not for a lot of people. Like, if you don't enjoy that, that's fine. But for me, it's relaxing because it gives me something to do. It's like a little bit of a downtime. And I just play a little bit of dailies. I do my shit. and then you get to find what else happens in the story, and that's that. It's kind of like described as a bonsai tree, like taking care of a bonsai tree. Like, there's no real purpose to it. It's just like keeping yourself active. That's what a gacha game is. Now, if you're the type of person that's addicted to gambling, if you're the type of person that has no self-control or no impulse control, then maybe you shouldn't play it. You do your dailies. I listen to RG talk about these games regularly. Yeah, this is pretty much what you do. You go in, you do the dailies, and you log out. Like, it's supposed to be a relaxing... honestly, it seems like games for old people. Anyway, I'm going to go now because I think, like, Arch is going to start his Archcast soon, so I don't want to take away his viewers. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we'll do this Wicked Stupid. Or says that he will show up, so I'll see. And yeah, I'm going to upload the videos on my other channels and see you guys there.